Welcome back to the Hot Pursuit podcast brought to you by LeadPost, the only visitor identification platform that works with or without cookies. LeadPost improves marketing results by identifying site visitors who don't convert. So if you're looking to reduce your reliance on third-party cookies, get a free trial, no credit card required, at leadpost.com. I'm Roy Harmon, and today I will be talking to Paul Mortimer, head of marketing for Avidly HubSpot Solutions, a 5-time HubSpot Global Partner of the Year. And we will be talking about Skynet, an advanced AI network developed by Cyberdyne Systems that self-awareness and rapid evolution have positioned it as a dominant force with potential to dictate the fate of humanity. I'm sorry, Paul, that's from a different podcast. We're going to be talking about AI's impact on SEO, right?
Yeah.
Particularly Google's
on content.
SGE, search generative experience. Okay. I've got a conspiracy theory podcast I do at night. So that's, I think, what that other thing is from.
But I hope, your voice was going where my head was going. Is this what we're here to talk about?
Yeah, I like to kind of break the ice, keep it loose. So tell us, I don't think things are quite that dire, but at least for people in SEO, I think it feels a little bit sometimes like, oh, what are we going to do? So can you, just to start us off, give us a little bit of an overview of SGE and just AI in general and the impact that you're seeing it have on SEO?
Yeah, so when I'm talking SEO with yourself a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about it from the content point of view. So less about the technical aspects or schema or back-end SEO, more about ranking in search engines, pure out and out SEO. SGE AI tools like ChatGPT and assistants are leveraging old data. That's what we're used to using them over the past 18 months. They're using, I know one of the sort of drawbacks of ChatGPT when all that hype happened last year was that it was trained on data a couple of years out of date. We've seen tests, we've seen plugins, we've seen it coming where the AI is connected to the live internet rather than archived or cached internet. So that is one way that people are going to be interacting with their information. You can see people who have been playing with ChatGPT. It's just baked into their search habits of how they find out things. People are at the moment flipping between, if I need live things, I'll go to Google or Bing like I normally do. But if I want to understand a concept or I want it explained to me in language I like, people are already turning to ChatGPT. So Google SGE is, the way I can see it heading, is from what Google say and what they've always said around how to rank on their search engine, is just basically their advice has always been to put the user first and the user experience. Provide helpful content and they'll weed through everything or wade through everything, make it easy for people. What I've seen of Google SGE, because it's been, I think, limited to the USA, if not just North America, but the people I follow who've been able to play with it and have seen things in labs and so on, Google Labs, it's a blend of both, where that live ranked internet content is amalgamated and an answer is generated for you. So it's been in small, narrow lanes so far, topics which it's the information can't really be questioned. Like, I don't know, when's the best time to plant rose bushes? Pretty well established what, no pun intended, when to do that, and it can come up with an answer that is reliable. But that's only ever going to expand. And there seems to be two camps at the minute with sort of ends up to a similar place, but sort of, no, we'll still have to produce content, people will still be credited, or we're going to have to find another way to get people to read our content. And I think for me, the Google SGE would be the ultimate search experience, where it not only learns what you like, but can give you the truth and the correct answers. But like how I don't know, social media algorithms will give you content that you like and you enjoy, SGE or other generative AI which is connected to the live internet will communicate the true information, the best information, but in a way you're used to. I just can't see any other way except things heading that way, where assistants themselves, like ChatGPT or Alexa connected to a ChatGPT, or search engines like Google becoming your search assistant, using artificial intelligence to generate those answers for you. So instead of giving you 10 options and some ads, it'll amalgamate all that for you and speak in your language. And then probably, because they've got to make money, probably then give you some ads as well. And that's my take. That's sort of my take, Avidly's take on how we see the content SEO landscape over the next, well, it depends how fast things move, but 12 to 36 months, I guess.
I do think that there's going to be a balance, and I know that there's so many factors at play that it's hard to really figure out exactly how things are going to go. I know that a lot of people seem to be worried that there's going to be some kind of a Google SERP feature that is going to give them all the information at the top, and then they're not going to do any more digging. I know for me personally, and I would guess that's for most people, unless I'm just looking for what time's the game or something like that, I usually skip over those snippets and just get into something deeper. But I think about how I use Perplexity these days, and a lot of times I don't find that ChatGPT that I like ChatGPT as well for this, but with Perplexity, a lot of times I can just ask it for things. It shows me, it's like, look, I'm pulling this stuff from the internet, and here you go. And if that is the way that things go, then I could see myself not using a search engine. But then at some point, these search engines are going to have trouble, because if there's no incentive for people to create content, because they know that nobody's going to see it, they're just going to sit in a chat assistant or an AI assistant. Then why are they're not going to create the content? So I assume there'll be some kind of equilibrium that will reach at some point. And what are you advising people to do in the meantime, just to have the best opportunity to be prepared for that?
Stay true to what your user wants is our advice, and that's what we're trying to do ourselves as well. But what we're advising our clients with the strategies we produce is that keep offering the expert opinion that your experts can offer and the expert advice, and that can be, we can't just produce content for search engines anymore anyway, because people are distrusting of that search engine result page content anyway, and have been for a number of years. So it's about still producing the content in different formats and promoting it in different places to your network. It comes with, when I did the strategies for the agency this year, we were looking at mapping it out and presenting it to everybody, and I circled it with a big buzzword at the time, like 6 months ago, but near-bound strategies of connecting with your customers, activating them to talk about you and share your materials to your network, promoting it on dark social media, so behind your LinkedIn network, where people will only see it if they're following you and so on, but also individual people posting content. I think a digital form of word of mouth is a good tool to add, instead of trying to get that content ranking on Google, or, well, if you're ranking on Google, you're probably going to be getting enough traffic anyway, SEO wise, to not worry anywhere historically. But yeah, meaning all search engines. So targeting your email lists, your social networks, your customer, your community, that's what we're advising. But it's the same content, it's the same thoughts, it's
Right.
just it's the same expert opinion, but instead of respinning it into 12 inbound blogs with a long tail keyword each, it's a bit, put all that energy into perhaps a webinar with recordings chopped up and shared on social, and it's still the same content, it's just where you're aiming it.
I see a lot of people talk about doing things to become the answer in an AI assistant. And I don't know if anybody has really figured out how to do that. I would imagine that in some cases, it's probably just the normal SEO things if they're pulling straight from Google. But then I don't know, like people will tell us that we've started to see people, and we're like, we ask, how'd you hear about Lead Post? And people have started to tell us that ChatGPT is telling them about it. And I don't know, have y'all discovered any ways, or do you have any ideas about what people should be doing to try to become a part of that AI conversation?
I can't say I do, other than not sort of hacks is too strong a word, but not tactics to deliberately do it. I think, it, like your example there, will be from being a respected authority voice in that space. So therefore, your name is going to come up in places. Like, this is what I was trying to mention earlier, where there's different ways of people talking about achieving this, but it ends up to the same place. Being an authority that's trusted and gives an expert opinion. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I can't see or haven't seen any sort of SEO tactics to rank to get ChatGPT to mention you, because there's just so many variables and so hard to see that you're ranking because it's a one-on-one conversation.
Well, and the whole point of this, these LLMs is that they're working with so much data that a human being doesn't have the internal processing power to do it. So it makes sense that there will be just too many variables to actually figure out anything specific. But it makes sense that really all the things you've already talked about doing seem like the things that would be effective. And it's funny because everybody seems to always want to find some way around just providing value. So many people, it's always like they want to provide value. They hear that it's like provide value, be real, give people this authentic personality and some good information. But then it always kind of seems like there's some strings attached for most marketers. And the best way, I think, especially to get into some of these AI conversations, if it's possible, would be to really actually do what you're talking about. For instance, when I read some of your blogs, they're not like, and we talked about this last time, how you'll look up a recipe and it's like, let me look up how do I make Mediterranean food, and it's like, first they tell you where the Mediterranean is, they tell you like how it got started, like 1,000 years ago, whatever, and you get down it's about 15 minutes of reading before you get to ingredients. But your blog posts are, not only do you get to the point, but you also have some humor in there. It feels like it's written by a writer, not an SEO writer or just an SEO in general. So that seems like that would be a really good way to go. Is there anything that you, for example, for your own team, what kind of advice do you give them to make sure that that's the kind of content you're creating and that's the experience that you're giving people?
Well, that's a good question. I think probably the thing that comes to mind when we're in the drafting process is making sure that people are comfortable to just like, right, you wouldn't say that, so don't write that. Like, just get a bit more of yourself in there, and I think it's more human, therefore it's going to strike a chord more. I think that some of these are more like writing tactics anyway, rather than SEO, but sort of, some personality at the front rather than first. Where is the Mediterranean, and what is the climate? Like all the SEO questions that you talk about in that recipe example. Sometimes you see those using the recipe example again because it's good. You'll see people tell a story of when they went to Italy and tried the best ever lasagna. Like, great, but you don't need 500 words of that with 3 subheadings, which are, where is Rome and why do they do the best bread or whatever. But if it was a short intro that made you smile, took you there, you can smell it, you can feel like you're on holiday, that is the one that somebody's going to enjoy, and that's the one that somebody's more likely to share on WhatsApp and go, look, well, let's make this weekend. It reminds me of when we went to so-and-so. Let's do it. Because that, like I said, to answer your other question, that's how you're more reliably going to get shared now anyway, because people aren't, for what we've just said, the SEO content that's ranking is so formulaic, long tail keyword subheadings, probably a bullet list, trying to get in the rich snippets, ads before the ingredients and in between the ingredients and the instructions on those cooking websites. You can picture the page, and that's not going to get shared. You'd probably copy and paste a bit of the recipe. Are you going to remember where that's from? No, but if you can start following people, you like what they're putting on social media, you like what they're doing on their email newsletter, you can get more affinity. And I think we're seeing this play out not just online, but people coming to events, people logging on to webinars. It's familiar faces, people who know us, people who will say, "Oh, you're going to that event? You're going to Inbound in September? Yeah, let's meet there." Rather than fast volume, high churn content, it's about making that connection come through and having a person there who you can trust, because people are so distrusting, I think, and have been a while, of marketing content. The story I used it in a presentation, I think, in 2018, but I remember 2017 for my wedding, and people RSVPing, and they had to go to email to save their room. And the venue were telling me, "You've had like 8 people still not RSVP. We can't hold the room until they email." And these were people who had no understanding of digital marketing in their day-to-day work. I remember one of them was a joiner, one was a driver, and there's no need for them to know digital marketing. But they knew back then, no, I'm not giving them my email. They'll just send me loads of marketing stuff. It's like the distrust is there. I think we've got to build, as content marketers and SEO marketers, we have to build that trust with people. More than we have to build the trust with ChatGPT or any other AI solution, because you never got. Also, from a practical point of view, you're never going to know if any of these AI tools are actually recommending you. It's not like where we've seen it in the past. I think that the days have gone where you could implement some fixes to target a rich snippet. That's where all these subheadings have come from. That's where all these repeated formats have come from, because we kind of worked out the playbook, didn't we, for getting blog posts to rank.
Well, and it kind of becomes a vicious circle where you've got tactics that seem to work. So then tools come out that allow you to do better with the tactics. And then more people do that. And it's just then, so the tools have to offer you even more. And so the biggest thing to me if I'm reading something and it's one of these things that is just forever long, it has nothing to do with what I'm talking or what I'm looking for until 15 minutes in, more than anything, I'm just not going to remember that. I've had so many things that I've read where I have no idea what it's from. And if you're trying to create some kind of real brand awareness, where I'm going to remember it, it's going to need to be something a little different if you want me to have that recall. And what you said about sort of building that trust, this gets a little bit away from the SEO, but it's still important to the actual objective of the SEO. So how do you create that trust? Is it just that all you're doing is providing the content directly, like here it is on LinkedIn, here it is on the website, here it is on Facebook, or wherever makes sense, and that's all you do and everything's ungated? Or are you still getting email addresses and then continuing to build that trust through email?
Yeah, no, we're still trying to do email. It's just we're still getting people's email addresses and signaling that they like our content. We are not producing any new gated ebooks, white papers, things like that. We have some that are legacy, still gated, but our sort of lead gen hooks at the moment are the newsletter. So, the technology is there, like you say, there's tools to make this easy. Sort of, okay, you've checked out 2 blogs. We do a fun update every 2 weeks. Do you want in? If they don't, we can close it. Then it's programmed to show them again after X amount of time. I don't know how long exactly offhand, but you get the idea. And then also events, online events, webinars, training sessions, in-person meetups, learning lunch, various forms to strike up a connection. And then we do have also gated things that are more bottom of the funnel, so like super high value, like price guides, or for some of our clients, like data sheets and things like that, for people to really, really do their analysis. That's kind of still gated. But the days of we're not employing the age-old tactics, if you can say that, for something that's only 15 years old. The age-old inbound methods of 12 blogs, 1 ebook, rinse and repeat, just change the topic, and people will fill in the forms. I think one way that I am a fan of, that I see people doing well, is ungating it all, but sort of I'll make this even easier for you to digest and stay on top of if you give me your details. But the big thing is having your community. What we're trying to build here is people coming in, and I think coming into a community. I think you can build something starting with as simple as a newsletter. That's a good way to have that close connection to people and build that trust, because you're literally in their inbox.
And when it comes to building a community, when did you really get started on that piece?
As Avidly,
Yes.
probably 2016, 2017, we started doing, it was a Facebook group at the time. People coming in, we'd have things like open office hours where people could join. We do the HubSpot user groups, people can join. And then, fully honest, we took our eyes off that for a little while, and we this year is when we tried to get that back going again. Yeah.
How's it been going so far?
Good. We're getting some familiar names, checking the newsletters. We're getting familiar people coming to events multiple times, and you can literally see it building with, if people open this many newsletters, they sign up for their event. If they come to this many events, they end up asking for a sales conversation. So there's a reason we're leaning more into events, even though numbers are still down from pre-COVID. The people there are wanting to be there to talk with each other and hear from their HubSpot partner or potential HubSpot partner, because most of them aren't customers. But I was talking to somebody, I can't remember who, about this, where it's sort of some of the old school tactics of just it's building relationships and being in front of people more, and things that kind of went away a bit when you could just blog an SEO and nurture people over a workflow and then book a meeting at the end, let them to book a meeting at the end of it. People are whacked sort of through that, the technology's through that. So you kind of need to, ideally you do a lot of everything, but you kind of need to just, whatever resource you have, as much of online content, ads, events, networking events, presenting at places, doing things like this. I mean, not everybody can do them all. I know we can't, but if you can pick what your battles and lean into those, you'll start building your own community. And I think we definitely see the value in those connections coming through, and when that trust is built through people rather than, I don't know, do you trust, what's a big website that you might read when you're researching things? Forbes or something when I was blogging.
Yeah, not anymore.
You don't trust Forbes, but you end up reading it every day, but you're not going to become a Forbes customer. I see stuff from The Economist. I don't pay to read The Economist because I don't. But someone like yourself who I'd follow, then yeah, it's a person rather than a big company. People are just so distrusting. So yeah, getting people in front of each other. Whether that's an email, that's still one-to-one in a way. And going back to the content, it's making sure it is personal.
Well, so what about, to get back, I guess, a little bit more into the SEO side of things? So you've got this community built out, you've got content. So what are you doing on the organic search side to get people there? Is there still a need for keyword research? Or is the idea now more just to understand your customer and just write the kind of content that they need to read, or is it a mixture? Is it a combination?
I had a question through from one of our strategists on Slack about this today, asking if we could talk about it more, because he sounds like he's on the train of thought I'm going to say as well. If keywords do matter, but they don't matter, I think if I get asked by someone who, because I've already told this several times to, what's the keyword that we're using for this page, I think I'd literally scream. That's like, it's now an old-fashioned way of looking at it. A page isn't going to rank for one keyword. Like topic clusters, the fact that they're not fully embraced and used in SEO strategy blows my mind in this This is nothing new now. We're talking 5-6 years of this not being a new concept. That said, still use keyword research to see what people are searching. But instead of being able to go, what podcasting tool gives the highest quality, or you'd also get a blog for highest quality podcasting tools are, or a long list of long tail keywords. You could have ranked for all or a chunk of those 10 years ago, 8 years ago, but you're not going to target each of those. You're just going to be talking about a concept. So keywords give you some flavor and validation, but it's one part of the content strategy research or the SEO strategy research, because you need to know what your customers have actually searched. You ask how people heard of you, and people saying ChatGPT. Okay, what can you do with that information? You could ask what they've searched. You can get an idea of their psyche and where they're at and what their challenges were and what it was solving, and then produce content for that. But not those actual words you're solving for their challenge. So you look at that long list of keywords to get a flavour of what people are searching, rather than give you blog titles and give you page URLs. And then the SEO work we're doing, that's the content strategy part of it, and then the SEO work is other things like more technical things, so page speed and indexing and the fancy SEO stuff that's beyond what I do. I'm just a words guy, but yeah, there's still a lot of SEO work going on, but it's not hounding down backlinks and
Well, thank God for that.
yeah, site structure and more user journeys. I guess it's all kind of blending into one, isn't it? Content, SEO, website UX, website strategy. It's all just getting your expert value you can offer as easy to find for people on your website, and then that's SEO. But you shouldn't need SEMrush to tell you what your customers need help with. Your customer-facing team can tell you that, your sales team can tell you that, and your customers can tell you that. But yeah, it gives you a good steer of which order to prioritize in, I suppose.
And what about the future? Do you think one particular thing that I've wondered about, my dream, and this is especially because I don't like having to try to get backlinks. I don't like trying to buy them or build them the organic way or paying somebody else to do it. It's just my least favorite thing about SEO. Do you think that there will be a time when the models are so good and the technology is so advanced that no matter how big or small you are, or how many backlinks or how much authority you have, these tools will be able to actually find the exact perfect, maybe you've only written one blog post and maybe you get one visitor a month, but this particular blog post, they can tell it's the exact thing that this other person needs to answer their question, and they're going to give it to them. I mean, do you ever think that'll happen? One of the things I could see maybe getting in the way of that is money. If it always, at the end of the day, it always kind of comes down to the people with the money typically find some way to make sure that they get the things that are valuable coming to them in a higher amount. But what do you think? There's any chance of that?
I mean, I'm pretty into all the AI stuff, but even that, I don't know the exact. I'm not technically into it. I'm into it from a more than Joe Blogs on the street level. So I don't know. I couldn't make predictions tech-wise, but the theory, to me, as I understand it, is that it could, once we reach, bandwidth capability of, that's probably a budget thing, of being able to crawl everything on the internet. Because in theory, Google could do that now. I remember playing with some smaller websites and just, you put in a full sentence as your search term and see what it finds. And this is sort of, for as long as I can remember, it's been able to find tiny sites with tiny authority if you search for something specific enough. I think, so I don't see why not. I think it would, because it can process. But back to, what do you think? Is it gonna Is it then though going to say I found this at this
Well,
website?
So the question is, does the search engine experience look anything like we're used to it looking? And that's probably the assumption that I'm making that may be incorrect.
I can't see that.
Because if it looks somewhat similar, if the thought was it's still going to be like you type something in a box and there's going to be some ads and there's going to be some results, maybe. But because my hope with that would be that the algorithm would become so advanced that they would be able to do that. But, like you say, it's not even, I think, to call it an algorithm once you get into the AI stuff, it's just so much going on. And is it even going to be in this same format? Probably not.
Using that tiny site that has got the perfect answer for that query that the user's got, I think it's just conceptually different because it's going to have understood that concept and that knowledge. It's not finding it on the internet. It's got it banked as knowledge from. So that person who's done that one blog, they're going to be, well, if their aim is to get traffic from the internet, they're going to be better becoming an authority in other circles, not on their website. They're going to be better being an advisor, getting customers to tell their friends about them or their network about them. Because that one page and the deep dark depth of the internet that gets 2 views a month, that knowledge isn't just only living on that page. That knowledge lives in experts, people's studies, wherever. And it's been trained on all that, isn't it? So I guess it's more of a conceptual shift of here's the concept and here are some people who might be able to help you further. So you're not going to get the credit, are you?
It really does seem like for anybody who wants to do any kind of writing for business, whether it's an individual or a company, it really is a lot about that inbound methodology, but following it more closely than I feel like a lot of people do in terms of the motivation. I think the motivation if AI improves the way I think it will, having that real educational bent is going to be important. And more than that, it's going to be important because I think that what you're talking about with building communities and things like that, that's going to be more important than ever. You're just not going to be able to do it with those, miles long posts about, crazy things that go way back into the past before you actually get to the point.
But you can go and ask that now, can't you? Even probably free AI chat tools can give you this decent lasagna recipe to go back to the cooking one.
I think that what's eventually going to happen is I started to think maybe the AI takeover isn't going to be like that they control everything and make us do everything. But I think it's going to be that we're just these like human connectors between other human connectors using AI. So it's like you would think, okay, what do I need to do AI? And AI is going to say, you need to go to Roy and get this information. You send it to over me. And then my email probably is hooked up to an AI and it says, how do I respond to this? And it sends that back. And then, so AI is doing everything, but we still feel like we have jobs because we're the one pressing the button, And we'll be living in virtual reality pods. We won't care.
I mean, I was involved in a thread on LinkedIn just yesterday with a big SEO name saying, like, you can't use AI if I want to find a restaurant nearby that's the best. AI is not going to be able to tell me that. I've just tried it. It doesn't work. And the guy I've got speaking to in the comments, he was very much of the opinion that content sort of an SEO is still going to have a place elsewhere, because if it starts just generating answers, they're going to, like you said, going to run out basically of up-to-date content producers. So they're going to have to find that balance with sort of the SEO and content marketing industry.
AI, so ChatGPT with the latest model has like, vision, it can hear. So all we got to do is plug that thing into a robot and it can like start going around town, putting food into some kind of receptacle that can
Well, that's the
split split it out and everything, and
you
you don't even
mentioned.
go get it. They just break it down and then they beam the flavors into your brain through your VR headset.
Are we back on the conspiracy podcast?
Well, hey, we were always going to end up here. That was foreshadowing.
I mean, like I say, I'm no true techie back in the slightest, but sort of true proper artificial intelligence, like AGI intelligence, is. I see a lot of people who are like, it's when, not if. And I think I was thinking of this podcast when I looked at my diary at the start of the week, and sort of I've got family. My sister works. I don't know if you know how it works in the UK, but the government's Department for Work and Pensions. She works there, quite senior, and they've been planning for years about what to do with the country. This is before I was into it, well before ChatGPT. They're planning and working out how to get a country operating in the middle of this century onwards, after the fourth industrial revolution, which we are in the start of now. So this isn't a few tech bros coming up with a cool. This isn't Dogecoin or Elon Musk doing the space rocket that falls over. This is like governments are taking this seriously and trying to position Britain as, or were trying to position and are trying to position Britain as one of the forerunners of AI because of the impact it's going to have on so many things. And but you'll know more than me about theories around, do we go to what's it called, like the income that everybody had just
Like universal basic.
yeah. So sort of like they're literally playing with models of, well, does everybody get this much, and how do you keep people happy? And like they wouldn't be looking into all this. We've gone really conspiracy now, but these things wouldn't be being explored at that level. And I still see people, back to like in our marketing and sales world, I still see people, very, very clever people who are still technology clever wise. That's not good English, but you know what I mean.
The
Who still
accent
think
makes up for any kind of errors. Yeah.
The guy I'm picturing from my personal life, he's a super clever guy, coder, and he was like, AI is just a fad. I'm like, it can't be a fad because look at how it's grown so far. But I still see people saying it's not a given that it's going to reach these levels of taking away jobs off people, but literally already is if you use it properly. It's taking away admin jobs, isn't it? So if you view SEO content as an admin job, which it is, name me a writer who loves writing SEO content. They don't. You're writing to Google
Right.
rather than to the user. That's taken care of now.
And the nice thing about it, and I think this is where it's all going to be okay, is because that's going to be the thing. It's going to, for the most part, a lot of these jobs are things that nobody really wants to do them.
A big one
And
I
then,
thought of, I had not thought of, sorry, but I heard of, I had not thought of it until I heard of it from Nicholas Holland at HubSpot. He talked about how they're going to be using, one of the big uses they see for AI when it comes to content is content management.
yeah.
And I never thought of that until he said it, but yeah, obviously, like
And like internal linking and stuff.
Yeah, internal linking, or managing your files, changing the formats, all the laborious content work and the laborious SEO work of, like, I don't know, we have to update all our metas with 4 times part of the year to 5 times part of the year. AI can go and do that. Like,
well, yeah. And so people worry about, they're like, well, yeah, but AI is going to take a lot of the jobs that somebody who's maybe, not as capable of other things would be doing. At the same time, even if that's true, it's also anybody can use AI. And so in a way, it's kind of expanding their capabilities. So if I don't know how to do anything, and, most marketers don't, so that's not that far from the truth, then I can still get a job. I'll just do something where AI enhances me. I talked to a guy, Tim at Task Drive, and he's got VA assistants that he's teaching them, he's training them how to use AI. So now they're AI enhanced virtual assistants. So all these things, I think they kind of like work themselves out and find an equilibrium. And maybe the trick is just to make sure you don't get caught in the pinch as things get kind of shift over. Might be some initial discomfort.
We are going through that phase, aren't we? Of it's probably, we've had a nice run of knowing the inbound playbook and the content and SEO playbook, and that's finished now, hasn't it? So we are figuring out, and I could well be completely wrong with my bets on community and trust. But we'll just change. You just pivot, don't you?
But the best way to be able to do that, I think, is have some experts in your corner as a little segue. So tell me about Avidly, because first of all, in general, I think HubSpot, just the philosophy behind how HubSpot works, the inbound methodology, this idea of creating value, I think is crucial. So can you talk to us a little about your agency, how you operate, who you work with, and kind of some of the benefits that people are going to get especially when it comes to things being so uncertain?
Yeah, sure. So we are, like you say, a HubSpot partner, a HubSpot Solutions provider. We have teams across Americas, EMEA, and APAC, and we work in all areas of HubSpot. They're our primary partner, our primary software tool. So HubSpot, for those unfamiliar, is basically it started as or was known as a marketing automation platform with a CRM. What it is now is just a business-wide platform with CRM, a smart AI-powered CRM at the center, and you can bolt on what you want to use it for. You could use it for everything from marketing, sales, customer management, ops, website, commerce. It's got hubs for all of those. Probably the most popular two are marketing and sales and website. Maybe two of those three are usually the combination that we see people use. But we as an agency support people getting the most from that tool and growing their business by using HubSpot either as a standalone solution or as part of their wider tech stack. And we like I say, we've got teams in offices in 8 countries and team members in 20 countries. And we work on all aspects: sales, marketing, CRM, sales, training, all areas of HubSpot and the associated services. So we've got in the office next to me today, I've got social media and content people who just use HubSpot as our tech vehicle, as what we do. We're enjoying working with HubSpot, and it's growing at such a pace. We do a lot of HubSpot user group events, they call them, so like meetups for people in the area, or if they're online, it could be about a certain topic. And we've had to just build in, since we last met, here's the most important updates, because they're shipping 100 updates a month at the moment. It's just insane how fast they're moving. So our job is to stay on top of that and help you leverage it.
And you talked earlier, you said you have some tools and things like that available on the website. Could you share? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get you the links. The best place to start is the newsletter. We try and have a bit of fun every couple of weeks and give you sort of an update on what's going on in the world of HubSpot, what's launched, what you need to know about. We couldn't ignore it. We just found it kept coming into the drafts. So we've got a little section on how to stay abreast of AI, and then other things I think you'll find interesting as a sales or marketing person.
Where can they subscribe?
So avidlyagency.com/HubSpot newsletter sign up. I'll give you the link.
Perfect. And where can they follow you? Because I know, for one thing, that you are a great writer, and I think that anybody who is looking to learn more about anything marketing, but not in that same kind of this is somebody who's regurgitating something that they've accumulated from 5 other blog posts, would enjoy it. So is the main place that you're writing, is that on the Avidly blog?
At the moment, but I probably just say LinkedIn. I post more on LinkedIn. I don't post the silly LinkedIn stories. I just like to share what. So you find me on LinkedIn. I think linkedin.com/DP Mortimer. But I don't
and we'll link
I'm
to
not
that
on other
too.
Socials, I'm afraid. I don't.
LinkedIn's the way to go, man. We're business people.
Yeah, I strictly work on there, and I don't have any personal social media, to be honest. I find it. What the work
I used to, but Facebook made me do 2-factor authentication because I ran ads through it. And somehow in the middle of a move, I lost the phone that had the authenticator app.
No.
And if you do that, I'll just let people know, make sure you save all your rescue codes or whatever. I have not every now and then it's been like 3-4 years. Every now and then I'll go in there and I'll be like, is there a way to get it now?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Of course, I never really liked it that much anyway, so it's
That's
hard.
why I came off. I'm not even on Instagram or anyone where
Yeah.
you don't have to interact with people. I just, that's a separate podcast.
Well, I know at this point everybody is going to be wondering, are you going to be able to come back on the show in the future to
Yeah, of
talk
course.
about more things? Because this has been a great episode. I love that. I feel like I could just really throw anything at you and you're going to have some insightful answers. So
As long as it's
we would
content
love to have you
related,
back.
I'm game.
Yeah. We are doing a podcast on lasagna recipes.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if you'll.
I've had a good cooking lesson in Florence, so I can give you a
There
nice
you go.
ragu
Perfect.
recipe. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.